What's up, guys? Welcome to Endure Beyond, the number one human efficiency podcast. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Darius Riddick. I'm the host, and I have been since 2018. This episode is one of our short form episodes. So, for those of you that are probably new arrivals, first, we just want to say thank you, extend our gratitude for being here. But to everyone, all of our allies, foreign and domestic, thanks for your investment of time in the development of future leadership. For those of you that are new here, over the past year, we've kind of changed our framework a little bit to satisfy both short form and long form. So our long forms typically follow the explain, empower, invite framework, and we present evidence-based research through questions and answers, where L asked me questions and I answered them based upon my knowledge and my experience. Our short form is just like, hey, what do we want to talk about today that we feel would be value to the people? But typically, they both are the intersections, or we say the expert marriage of expert sports psychology and exercise physiology. And for those that are unaware of those disciplines, it's really just the study of the optimization of the mind and the body, and most importantly, the synchronization between the two, right? What can you do today to get better and just to move forward, right? To make progress, whether that be incremental or for organizations transformational. And to us, what's really important is to ensure that you have what's called actionable intel. So what we do is we have tools on the organizational level that look at databases like Caltech, NASA, PubMed, OpenAlex, Cross-Reference, Semantic Scholar, and then take the topics from each of those databases and merge all the studies. And then what it outputs are both the gaps and the overlaps in the research. So the gaps are what we kind of keep internal to kind of decide, like, hey, where do we see the future of humankind? And then the overlaps is what you typically get during these episodes, is what you're going to get in the short form today. And we always do our best to ensure that we deliver value to you. But one thing I have to say is that what you have to be aware of is you are your own researcher, your own scientist, your own leader first at the beginning, before you try to lead or do anything else. And what you have to understand is the most important thing that you can do is to take massive action. Always think big, always expect more of yourself, and always take massive action. What we found through this relentless pursuit for human progress and taking on this mantle of responsibility with regaining our ability in human spaceflight to become a spacefaring society is that majority of people thinks too small. And contrary to belief, it's not about how many resources you have. It, like, when you talk about money, human capital, even access economy, those things are great. As far as resources, they open the door to more things. But trust me, I've met lots of kids of billionaires, millionaires, people who have all the access, who probably had every road paid for them and still failed to live up to their potential, because it's really not about what resources you have access to. It's about what resources you can harness at home, being you. And that's what we try to bring home every single time. So understand the value really starts with understanding what power you have at your fingertips. And as we say, the number one way that people relinquish their power is by thinking that they don't have any. So it's about time for us to see true progress for more people to understand that. So this episode, um, I kind of just wanted to do what I wanted to do because it's my birthday. So turning 31 has been incredible. Man, from growing up in poverty, being stricken by all kinds of barriers, to being thrusted into the global war on terror, my time in the Air Force and the bomb squad with Tier 1 units and special operations teams and MARSOC and all these different people, and just having incredible experiences all over the world, to my obsession with human optimization, to then being thrusted into human space flight and human and long-term planetary infrastructure. There's been so much that we've learned, and I just wanted to take a step back and say, okay, we are navigating this vast sea of human enhancement, right? But what do the people really need, right? What do we need to be aware of that if we don't do this the right way, it could be cataclysmic down the line? And we frequently revisit the fundamentals, but this is one of those episodes where we're like, it's critical. So whether you are a researcher, a scientist, you are a student, you are a teacher, you're a business executive, you're a small business owner who wants to make more money, grow your capital, you want to have better relationships, you're a stay-at-home parent, whatever your role is, the fundamentals remain the same because the fundamentals across the human experience remain the same. And luckily, we now have the confidence to be able to translate that. And what that translates to is goal completion. I can safely assume, and feel free in the comments to correct me if I'm wrong, that you have goals. All right. And no one's here to judge you what those goals are. Okay. Our only suggestion is to ensure that those goals are SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, if you don't want to ensure they're smart, then whether they're accomplished or not, really, you just leave it up to chance and more variables. But there's another layer of intelligence to that as you begin to try and scale. But before you scale, and here's the sauce. And before I say it, fair warning, there's probably not another human on earth or person or entity that is more obsessed with human efficiency than me. I mean, the sheer amount of data points I go through in a day would make an average person's head spin. So it's a problem, but through that problem, we solve many other problems. Imagine your goals like a house. Okay. You have to first establish what house you want to build. All right. Say your goal at the apex, I want to build a house. What type of house do you want to build? And let's use house as like a place of domicile. You want an apartment? Do you want a mansion? Do you want a beautiful Texas ranch on multiple acres out in the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lands of Texas? All right, I'm a little bit biased there. Or do you want just like a 2-bedroom condo type deal? You want a beachfront boat? Like what it is that you want, and that's going to matter because when you establish your goal, you say what type of goal it is that you're going to accomplish. And then the next thing you do is you gather the materials. This is part of the preparation portion. You guys have probably heard us say it before, but for those of you new here, when I was in the military, we had a phrase that's proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And what we've found through the research is that some of the most successful people, hyper successful individuals who make an identity of accomplishing goals look effortless. They plan and prepare before they execute. Okay. As much as people want to believe that just go do it, just go do it, that only works in some instances, right? But our goal is to ensure that you're not wasting resources and that your time to benefit is minimized. Okay. You want to get from point A to point B in the fastest way possible with the least amount of resources invested to get the maximum amount of return. In order to do that, there has to be some form of intelligent planning and preparation. And that starts with gathering your materials. Okay. Because the materials needed to build a ranch versus a skyscraper are different. And where it differs the most is in the plot. Okay, the foundation, because that foundation that you build is going to determine whether or not you can even vertically integrate, vertically scale, or you're horizontally able to go as far as possible. Now, if you're building in somewhere like New York, you bet your sweet ass you're vertically integrating because you don't have any other options. But if you're in somewhere like West Texas, is different where you have acres and acres of land and you have more real estate to play with. So you have to determine what you're going to do or what type that you're going to do so that you can establish the plot. You have the plot, you then have to plan out the foundation. That foundation is going to be really important. What we've found from the people who don't accomplish their goals in the most efficient way possible is that they miss that step entirely. And what happens is they get to a point of building and they don't have guardrails, they don't have fail safes, and that ends the whole project completely. So now you have wasted resources, you have wasted time, and you are now starting back from the beginning. Now, in some perspectives, that's like a great thing. You're like, oh, we can start over fresh. This might be good. But for some people, when you're talking about big numbers, you're going in bigger scale projects, you don't want to start over because now we have a we problem, and there's a lot more people involved in that. So once you establish your plot, plan and prepare your materials, you then have to execute. You have to take massive action. The surefire way to never see a goal come to life is just by not doing it. And that sounds juvenile. But I tell you, if you study enough and you look through enough resources, you begin to realize like there's a lot of commonalities here. There's a lot of those overlaps that we talked about. And when it comes to goal accomplishment, goal completion for the human species, Simply understanding the human platform is enough, because you get to a point where you want to quit. Things aren't going to be great. Something's going to fail, project's going to go wrong, even if you did all the planning and preparation. And it's at that moment where at least everything you did before gives you the best chance of success moving forward. But what's going to get you over that hump is you. Right. And you can't teach that. You can't go by that. That is something that is built through discipline and most importantly through experience. So I'm not going to pretend to know your story. I don't know you. I don't know what it is that you're trying to do, but I hope, and it is my goal that with us sharing this and what it is that we're doing, that you learn a little bit more about me, our mission, and where it is that we're going. And with that being said, in the second part of this, for our Endure Beyond Goals subscribers via Apple Podcasts, we're going to go through more of a blueprint-esque way of how to put this into actual practice. But I just wanted to give a word of encouragement there on this 31st year of service. Thank you for giving me another day to give back to humankind and to hold on to this mantle of responsibility. But until next time, in the next episode, for everyone, guys, thanks. Truly, someone somewhere doesn't hear that enough. Thank you for what it is that you do, for your investment, and for just holding on, man. It's a lot to just make it through tough times. But I'll leave you with this. No matter what you've gone through in the past, realize that you now have a 100% success rate with making it through difficult times. Why is this any different? Why is this goal any different? Doesn't matter how big it is, you're operating as a winner on a success rate. So I think it's a good idea to keep that momentum going. Guys, that's all we got. Thanks for trusting me. Until next time in the next episode, hasta luego. Much love to you and your families, and we'll see you there. Thanks, guys.